With the Digimon TCG set 1.5 finally here, everyone is talking about the big three: Red Omnimon, Shine Greymon, and Green Ceresmon. But there is another deck worth talking about, and that is the Queen of Purple herself, Lilithmon. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Steven Rodriguez. I'm your true champion, and that is right. The Queen is back and better than ever. Thanks to the brand new set 1.5, we have tons of extra consistency options and ways to fuel our trash pile for purple that really enables Lilithmon to be a pure strategy. And if you're like me and want to play purple but don't feel like waiting until Black Metal Garurumon comes out in like late May, this is the best deck for you to try out. If you guys are excited for this deck list and just overall the Digimon TCG in general, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. And if there's anything in this video that you want me to elaborate on or just talk more about, feel free to follow me over on Twitch. I spend a lot of time in just chatting and I love talking about this game, so feel free to come stop by, we can hang out and have a grand old time. Links will be found down below. But with all that being said, let's check out my 1.5 Lilithmon deck list for the Digimon TCG. Alright, boys and girls, here we are at the tabletop setup, and we have the updated Lilithmon deck list right here in front of me, and let's just go ahead and get to the card by card. First things first, we're going to start off with the Digi-eggs, and right away we have a brand new inclusion in the form of 4 copies of Demi-Meramon. Demi-Meramon is a super awesome card with the evolution source skill: on deletion, trigger draw +1, then trash 1 card from your hand. This card not only lets you filter through your deck, but also build your trash pile. And the main name of the game with this deck is to get to that 10 card magic number in trash as soon as possible, so that we can get full value on your evolution of Lilithmon and get those recyclable 2 option cards. So this not only helps us fuel a trash pile, but lets us dig for those key cards we need to achieve our main combos. And trust me, there are a lot of combos in this deck. So for that, that's the new best egg in purple. Here we have 1 copy of the old best egg in purple, Pogumon. I'm a Twitch streamer, sorry everyone. This card has a really cool when attacking effect to trash the top card of your deck. Again, just more milling, more trash filling effects, just so we can get to that 10 card magic number as soon as possible. We used to play copies of Yammon in our Digi-eggs to help boost the power of some of our Digimon, namely Lilithmon, to make her 12,000 DP, but honestly, you don't really need to make her 12,000 DP to make her more valuable, so I think maxing out on the consistency for your Digi-eggs is definitely the best way to go. Moving on to our level 3s, we have 14 in total. We have 4 copies of Impmon. Now, I'm gonna let you know right away, we aren't playing any Beelzemon in this deck. However, because we are playing 4 Impmon just naturally, it is a really easy inclusion. So if you wanted to play Beelzemon, you totally can. However, this deck isn't really built to use him effectively, I don't think, but he is a pretty easy card to throw in and does create a ton of value. And if you're not in love with Piedmon, he's definitely a nice backup option. But the main reason we play 4 Impmon is because of the trashing 3 cards in the top of your deck on deletion effect. Being able to attack early with this, with cards like Demi-Mera, and effectively add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards to our trash pretty much guarantees that we get Lilithmon by the time we get to our level 5 evolution, which is super cool. So making sure you have plenty of these guys to evolve into, to flash into play with Night Raid, or just mill in general is going to be super important. Up next, we have 4 of, in my opinion, the best level 3 in purple for Gabumon. This card has the on deletion inheritable effect of trigger draw 2, then trash 1 from your hand. It's effectively a mini Graceful Charity. If you have both this and Demi-Mera, you can literally go draw 2, discard 1, draw 1, discard 1, and it's so good at letting you filter your hand and get the pieces you need to achieve a very nice, smooth, and elegant game plan, which I just love. Also, more trash filling. Yay, we love more trash filling effects in purple. Rounding off our level 3s, we have 3 copies of Tapermon and 3 copies of Demi-Devimon. Now here's where we have an issue. I sadly do not own any copies of the promo Demi-Devimon. However, if I did, I would run 2 copies in exchange for 1 regular Demi-Devimon and 1 Tapermon. And the reason is because that Demi-Devimon has the really handy on play effect to trash 2 cards in your top of your deck. Really useful for enabling you just to get more and more cards in your trash pile. I swear it's like the most important thing in this deck if you want to get full value on your Lilithmon Digivolve evolutions. However, I do not own any, so instead I'm running a third copy of Taper and a third copy of regular Demi-Devi. This is fine as it is. Tapermon is still a really useful card with cards like Demi-Mera and even Pagumon to get early attacks and fill your trash pile still, but it is a bit of a gamble and not a guaranteed mill like Demi-Devimon would be. And then just having 3 vanilla 2-drops is just consistent, helps keep your deck really flowing nicely, and can help you choke your opponent in the early game if you're trying to slow them down while you're trying to build yourself up in general. These are really just consistent cards to play, and a lot of the purple players out there will know they're really good. If you don't want to play Demi-Devi, you can always play Tsukaimon, but frankly, Tsukaimon doesn't really serve this deck any. You're not really trying to kind of catch your opponent or always gain value over them. You're just trying to achieve your combos and eventually win the game through how much advantage you can create with Lilithmon. So that's pretty much it for the 14 level 3s. Moving on, we have 11 level 4s, and we're going to actually stray away from the tried and true 4 Vial, 4 Devi, 2 Wizardmon, and go for 4 Vial, 4 Devi, and 2 copies of Saberdramon. So if you guys have ever played against purple, you'll know these are pretty standard. These are your blockers, these are your retaliation cards to get free removal on rested dudes that are pretty scary, all standard stuff, but we have Saberdramon, a 4-cost, 3000 DP level 4 with retaliation as an inheritable effect. This is really good against green decks, and I'm kind of running this as sort of a green tech, because essentially the main way green tries to remove your big threats is by swinging into them. Well, with this, plus our 4 copies of Devimon, we now have 6 ways to give our ultimates and our level 6s retaliation, which means they just can't be swung into, they must be hard removed, otherwise they will get rid of something else along with them. So this is a really nice way to sort of deter aggression against a green opponent and let you keep your level 5s in play long enough to turn them into Lilithmons, and trust me, once Lilith comes out, it's Value Town Population U. So that's it for our level 4s. Moving on to our level 5s, probably the best inclusion that this deck got from 1.5 is going to be the 4 copies of Lady Devimon. This card was literally designed for Lilithmon, so I hope she's good with him, and trust me, she is. She has 2 effects. Firstly, she has a win Digivolving effect to trigger draw +2, then discard 2. This is just filter the card. You get rid of all the option cards you don't want that you can recur later with Lilithmon. You get rid of extra Tamers, extra Piedmons, extra whatever you want, and dig for the things you don't have. Super, super useful. And she also has a really cool inheritable effect that says your turn once per turn when you use an option card, delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. So if you ever use a card like Trump Sword or Heat Viper, instead of kill one thing, it turns into kill one thing and kill a level 3, which is just super, super nice. This deck is designed to use the powerful option cards in purple to their full extent and then some. Thanks to this card, we can do that and then some more often than not, and I just love her. Plus, we do play cards like Necrophobia that lets us actually recycle her, which can be just pretty ridiculous sometimes. So 4 copies of Lady Devimon, no questions asked. And finally, rounding off, we have 3 copies of Chimeraemon, the other best level 5 in purple. Being able to remove something, kill one of your dudes, proc any on deletion effects, and then keep a level 5 on board is just so good. This thing can become Lilithmon after you have your 10 cards in trash achieved and just create so much value for you. It's insane. Moving on, we have the level 6s. We have the 4 Lilithmon, of course, because this is a quad Lilithmon deck, so I better be repping the quad Lilith. She has 2 effects. The first one is Wind Digivolving. If you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you may return the 2 purple option cards from your trash to your hand. We have a lot of powerful option cards that we want to not only use once, but use multiple times. This enables us to reuse things and also run different copies of option cards at lower numbers, which is super nice for just conserving room within your deck. Her other effect is your turn once per turn. When you use an option card, gain 2 memory. This just lets you play really powerful option cards for cheaper. Things like Trump Sword become 5 memory, things like Night Raid become free, and other things like Necrophobia and Heat Viper just become super valuable for you to ever use against your opponents. This card is super bonkers. If you ever establish 2 of them in play, which I have done multiple times, you straight up feel unbeatable. So yeah, I do love this deck. I think Lilithmon is a really abusable card, and until we get a card like Black Metal Gurumon, I don't see any deck doing what she does any better, if that makes sense. Rounding up the level 6s, we are of course playing 3 copies of Piedmon, one of the strongest hard drops in the game. Being able to set up some big like +3 board that tries to go in against your opponent in the late game to solidify your victory is super nice. Having retaliation is really cool for just another form of removal that this deck honestly doesn't need, but is nice to have. And all in all, I just think it's a very quality card that pretty much every purple deck should be running if they have the ability to. So I do love this card at 3. Again, because we are playing the 4 copies of Imon, you can run cards like Beelzemon in here if you want to. The only reason I'm not is because I feel like when you play Beelzemon, you also have to play Millenniumon, otherwise you're losing out on some really powerful plays you can make. And right now, this deck just doesn't have the room, in my opinion, to play Millenniumon, but if you want to find the room and give it a try, by all means, go ahead. So that does it for all of our Digimon. Moving on to the Tamers and options. Firstly, we are playing 3 Tamers, 3 copies of Madashida, being able to again recur specific Digimon that we can use to climb our Digivolve chain, or just get other option cards back on top of the ones we're already getting back with Purple Lilith is super nice, and just giving us that guaranteed 3 memory every single turn is honestly super huge. This can be the facilitator for a lot of stupid combos in this deck that I might show you after this deck profile. I probably will. Now, the part that you all want to see, what are these broken option cards I've been talking about? I've already talked about a couple of them, but let's see all of them in action. Firstly, we have the best option card in purple, 3 copies of Trump Sword. Being able to delete any unsuspended Digimon is super nice. If you ever check this in security, you feel like a baller, and it probably saves you from losing or just gives you so much advantage. It's crazy. Being able to turn this from a 7 cost into a 5 cost feels broken sometimes, and Lilithmon lets us do that. There was a moment where I actually had double Lilith in play, and I played this for 3 while I had Madashida in play, and it was still my turn afterwards. That felt pretty good. So Trump Sword is super nice. Gotta play it at 3. You don't need to play it at 4 because again, you can recycle it with your Liliths and with your Mats. Up next, we have 2 copies of Night Raid and 2 copies of Darkness Claw as our 2 of option cards. Night Raid is a really nice way to recycle our level 3s, get some extra bodies on board to threaten lethal, or just have more board advantage that we can use Chimeramons on later and activate other effects to remove our opponent's board. 2 copies of Darkness Claw. This really is just a gain +1 memory card in the deck once you have Lilithmon established, but it also makes her 14k, so you can swing over pesky 12,000 DP Digimon if they're rested and you don't have retaliation, or it's a really awesome card to check in your security because it has the same security effect as Hammer Spark, so you can gain 2 memory during your opponent's turn, maybe even end their turn early and just start the pain train all over again before they ever really do anything against you. So I really like these at 2/2. I think these are super powerful utility option cards in the deck, and they're super useful. Speaking of utility option cards, we have our 2 1-ofs, 1 Heat Viper and 1 Necrophobia. So let's talk about Heat Viper first. This is probably one of the strongest removal cards. Being able to get rid of 1 of your cards to get rid of 2 of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon is super nice, especially in the late game. If you have your 3 memory and your Madashida, you can use this to actually get rid of 2 blockers your opponents have and actually just swing in for game before they thought you couldn't, which is super nice. And it can be added to your hand in the security, so 1 is more than enough because if it's in the trash, you can recycle it, and if it's in the security, it goes to your hand, which is super nice. And rounding off, we have the last card of the deck, 1 copy of Necrophobia, the brand new option card that we were given in 1.5. It's a 5 cost to play normally, 3 costs with Lilithmon in play, and it has a really cool effect to play 1 level 5 purple Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. Any on-play effects are negated or do not activate. A really cool thing you can do with the Necrophobia actually is if you've already established a Lilithmon in play and you have the Madashida Tamer and have the guaranteed 3 memory, you can play Necrophobia for 3, bring back your Lady Devamon, and then evolve into a second Lilithmon, and then bring the Necrophobia back, or whatever other 2 option cards you want to bring back if you already have the 10 cards in trash. And this is just like a super fun example of the kinds of things you can do with a quad Lilithmon deck. It's definitely very intricate, very dynamic. Not every single game is the same, but I will tell you the power ceiling with some of the option cards you have feels infinite sometimes, especially given the kind of board density your opponents might have in the early to mid game. And boom, there you guys go. That'll go ahead and do it for my quad Lilithmon deck list for the Digimon TCG. If you guys did enjoy, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. And if you have any lingering questions or just want me to talk more about this deck or see me use it live and in person, do follow me over on Twitch. I go live all the time and play this game non-stop. So feel free to check that out. Link will be found down below. And with that being said, I've been your true champion, Steven. Please be sure to work hard, rest easy, and live well. And I will see you all next time. Peace.